The sort of going logic in Washington right now is that an in-person meeting would represent a win in itself for Vladimir Putin. Is that how you see this?
It is. Vladimir Putin clearly wants this meeting. They've already started working on preparing for that meeting. They're looking for a venue. They say they have a venue. This is all way out in front of what's going on here in Washington, as you point out, Joe. So Putin clearly wants this meeting. This is a way for him to get back in, to come in from the cold, to basically rejoin polite society. He's an indicted war criminal. He's been a pariah, and he looks for this to get him back in.
Mm-hmm. The idea of President Zelensky being at the table is a pretty fascinating one, considering the relationship that he has right now with Vladimir Putin. President Trump says he's open to a Trump-Putin meeting without Zelensky, but there was also a suggestion that Zelensky meet first with Putin. Does any of this sound realistic, or does the stipulation of Zelensky's involvement keep a meeting from happening at all?
Well, the general principle, Joe, has been over time, over past administrations, including this one, is nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. That is, Ukraine needs to be there when its fate is being discussed, when a ceasefire is being discussed. A ceasefire is between two parties, between the Russians and the Ukrainians, and so the Ukrainians have to be there for any of that kind of discussion. That's going to be very important. Putin has shown a reluctance to meet with Zelensky, and the relationship between Zelensky and Trump has improved dramatically over the past several weeks, really, and has gotten much better than it was earlier in the administration.
President says the secondary tariffs on countries buying oil from Russia go into place tomorrow, with or without a meeting or whatever progress could be inferred from these talks. Do you believe that's the case? And would the president bring them down once he gets in a room with Putin?
Well, first of all, Joe, some of those tariffs are already on. President Trump has put tariffs on India for buying oil from Russia.
That's right.
Big tariffs. I think the tariff now is at 50% on India. That's a major blow to one of the two big purchasers of Russian oil. What the goal is, of course, is to reduce the flow of money, of cash, into the Russian economy so that they will have a harder time pursuing this war against Ukraine. The other big one, though, you're right, is a tariff on imports from China if China continues to buy oil from Russia. That could come. That could come.
Do those secondary tariffs change behavior? Because nothing has yet when it comes to Putin.
No. You're exactly right. And the combination of the tariffs, but also even more important is what President Trump announced earlier, about 2 weeks earlier, weapons. He had been hesitant to provide new weapons to Ukraine, and he's decided they can. That the Europeans can buy weapons from American suppliers, and then the Europeans will provide those weapons to Ukraine. That's a big change from this administration, from earlier parts of this administration. So that is a message to Putin that he can't outlast us. His only way of winning this thing in his mind is to outlast us. And that's a message. President Trump's, both the tariffs, but also the weapons, more importantly, the weapons, is a message that he cannot outlast us.
You know, I think about the sort of idea of President Trump, the vision of Trump, Zelensky, and Putin, all at the same table here. And the idea that you testified in the impeachment inquiry for Donald Trump in November of 2019, to what extent does the perfect phone call inform outcomes at the negotiating table?
So I think not at all. I think we're well past all that. I think it's very clear what we're talking about here is this war, which, of course, did start in 2014, but the big war started in 2022. And that's what President Trump is focused on. He's been focused on that since the campaign last fall. He thought he could do it. He said he could do it in 24 hours, but he's really focused a lot of attention, a lot of his own personal attention and that of his administration to this war. He wants to end the fighting. He wants to end the war. If he does, he's in line for a big prize. And that's the goal. So that's what's driving this right now.
A big prize. You don't mean that literally, I'm guessing, Ambassador. Nobel?
I do mean it literally. If he brings peace on a just and lasting basis that the Ukrainians can agree on, the Europeans can agree on, and there's justice and a lasting peace, sure, that's worthy of a prize.